You know, I never thought I'd be the guy standing up to the whole neighborhood association over something as simple as a fence, but here I was, staring down the barrel of a lawsuit from the HOA board president, himself Old Man Harlan, with his iron-fisted rules and that smug grin like he owned the whole damn suburb. It all started when I moved into this quiet little cul-de-sac in Willow Creek, Oregon, thinking it'd be the perfect spot to raise my family after years of city chaos. But nope, right off the bat, Harlan decided my plans for a vegetable garden in the backyard were violating community aesthetics, whatever that means, and before I knew it, fines were piling up like autumn leaves. I felt this weird pull, though like God had plunked me there for a reason, marked me out from the crowd, you know? And that's when the real storm hit, turning a petty dispute into a full-blown war that tested everything I believed in. Let me back up a bit, paint the picture for you. I'm Jack Thompson, just your average mechanic from Portland, relocated here with my wife Sarah and our 2 kids after inheriting a modest house from my late aunt. Willow Creek seemed idyllic at first, tree-lined streets, kids biking around, barbecues on weekends, but underneath, it was a pressure cooker run by the HOA, with Harlan at the helm. He's this retired banker type, mid-60s, always in khakis and a polo, lording over everyone because his family had been in the area for generations, and he saw the HOA as his personal kingdom. The conflict kicked off innocent enough. I wanted to expand my backyard garden to grow tomatoes, zucchini, maybe some herbs, not just for fun, but to teach my kids about self-sufficiency, and honestly, after losing my job during the pandemic, it was a way to cut grocery bills. But Harlan spotted it during one of his routine inspections. Yeah, the guy patrols like he's the sheriff and slapped me with a violation notice. "Jack," he says to me over the phone, his voice dripping with that fake politeness. "We can't have unkempt plots disrupting the uniformity. It's in the Covenants, page 47, section 3. Pay the fine or tear it down." I tried reasoning, explained it was eco-friendly, even offered to share the produce with neighbors, but he just chuckled. "Rules are rules, son. Don't make me escalate this." At first, I shrugged it off, paid the small fine, but then it escalated another notice for my kid's swing set being too visible from the street, then complaints about my truck parked in the driveway overnight. It wasn't random. I later found out Harlan had a grudge because my aunt had once challenged him on a similar issue years ago, and he saw me as her extension, threatening his control. Plus, there was this undercurrent of jealousy. I'd been trying to buy up properties to flip them for profit, and my house sat on a prime lot backing onto a wooded area that could expand his influence. The more I pushed back, attending HOA meetings with polite questions, the more isolated I felt. Neighbors whispered, some sided with him out of fear, others just avoided me. I'd come home exhausted, Sarah worried, sick, and I'd pray quietly in the garage, feeling this deep sense that I wasn't alone, that there was a purpose here, like an invisible mark on my life making me stand out, survive these little storms others might crumble under. It reminded me of those Bible stories my grandma told, like Joseph getting thrown in a pit by his brothers out of envy, but rising up because God had sealed him for something bigger. Nights like that, I'd stare at the ceiling, wondering why this fight felt so personal, so targeted. But here's where it gets interesting, the part where things flipped in a way I never saw coming. One rainy afternoon, I'm digging in the garden despite the warnings, and my neighbor Lisa, a quiet widow next door who'd always kept to herself, wanders over with a cup of coffee. "Jack," she says, hesitating like she's about to spill state secrets, "you're not the first. Harlan's been pulling strings for years, falsifying meeting minutes, pocketing fine money for his own projects. I have proof, old emails and records from when my husband was on the board before he passed." Turns out, her late husband had clashed with Harlan over land rights. Harlan wanted to rezone parts of the community for development, including edging into protected woods, all to line his pockets with developer kickbacks. Lisa's husband had gathered evidence, but died suddenly, heart attack, they said, but she suspected stress from the threats played a role. She handed me a flash drive, her hands shaking. "Use it wisely. I've been too scared, but you seem different, like you've got that fire." That night, poring over the files with Sarah, we uncovered it all. Embezzlement, forged signatures on deeds, even bribes to local officials to overlook violations. It wasn't just about my garden. It was a web of corruption, with Harlan manipulating the HOA to control land values, pushing out families like mine who didn't fit his vision of an upscale enclave. The motive clicked: greed, power, and a personal vendetta against anyone who reminded him of past defeats. Fueled by this, I didn't charge in guns blazing. No, I played it smart, gathering allies quietly. I reached out to a few sympathetic neighbors: Tom, the young dad across the street whose pool had been fined unfairly, and Maria, the retiree who'd lost a tree dispute. We formed a little underground group, meeting in basements, sharing stories that revealed Harlan's pattern. Intimidation tactics, like anonymous complaints or even tampering with mailboxes to delay payments. The counterattack hit at the annual HOA election meeting, packed hall, tension thick as fog. Harlan's up there, pontificating about maintaining standards. When I stand up, calm but firm: Mr. Harlan, before we vote, let's discuss the missing funds from last year's budget. $15,000 unaccounted for, according to these records. The room gasps. I project the emails on a screen I'd borrowed, showing his dealings with a shady developer. He turns beet red, sputtering. This is slander. You have no right. But Lisa chimes in, voice steady now. It's truth, Harlan. My husband warned you. Chaos erupts, neighbors yelling questions, some defending him out of habit, others finally speaking up about their own grievances. Harlan lunges toward me, face twisted. You'll regret this, Thompson. I'll sue you into the ground. But I just smiled, feeling that inner peace, like God's hand steadying me. Try it. The truth doesn't hide. By meeting's end, the board voted him out, police got involved for the embezzlement, and suddenly, the community breathed easier. Gardens popped up, kids played freely, no more petty fines. In the aftermath, as Harlan slunk away, his house went up for sale months later. Whispers of bankruptcy. I stood in my thriving garden. Kids laughing on the swing, Sarah hugging me tight, and it hit me like a sunrise. This wasn't just a win over a bully. It was proof of something deeper, that mark I'd felt all along, turning opposition into refinement, guaranteeing victory not for glory, but to point to a higher purpose. We rebuilt the HOA democratically, with transparency rules, and Willow Creek felt alive.